She should have stayed in bed. Unfreaking believable. Alexis Gordon stood, hands on her hips, at the edge of chaos. Cops, kids, dignitaries, and everything in between wandered through the green spaces of the park. She sniffed the aroma of hot buttered popcorn and hot dogs permeating the air. Smaller communities like theirs got fanatical about local events, like today's groundbreaking ceremony for the new gardens. A ceremony to celebrate the completion of the gardens made sense to her. Too bad the politicians in the small community of Bradford, Oregon, used events like this to garner votes. Not just at the beginning of the ceremony, but at the end, too. Bradford was smaller than Portland, but independent, like neighboring Gresham. And Bradford's politics were a complicated issue. Alexis blew out a gust of breath and ran her fingers through her long, superfine hair. Why hadn't she stayed home? She was a gardener, not a politician, and it was Sunday after all. At least she didn't have to wear her work boots today. But her presence, apparently, was mandatory, since she was employed by the city. Tucking her yellow cotton shirt into her faded jeans, she headed away from the crowd and behind the cordoned-off construction area. Her crew had set up a makeshift bridge to cross the huge culvert, where the city was installing new sewer pipes. That ditch clearly resembled a wading pool after last night's rain. Scott McIver, her immediate boss and best friend and father figure and big brother, approached from the other side. "Hey, Alexis, be careful. Without work boots, that thing's a bitch." Alexis nodded at Scott's warning, refusing to let her lightweight sneakers keep her from crossing the bridge. She kept her eyes firmly glued to the slick surface in front of her. Once at the other end, she grinned in triumph, reached for his outstretched hand, and jumped the last foot. "See? No problem." The soft dirt edge fell away from under her foot as she landed on the left one, and her fingers slipped from his grasp. "Shit! Jesus, Alex!" Scott made a grab for her and missed. His voice rolled over her as she tumbled in a mad downward scramble, clawing against the dirt wall for something solid to grab, but still in a slow, muddy slide. A fresh puddle of muck waited for her at the bottom. "Oh, hell!" The oath slipped out as she pulled herself up on her hands and knees, grimacing as slime oozed between her fingers. "I don't need this today." The smell of wet earth and minerals assailed her senses. It might be a new ditch, but it already smelled like a sewer. Everything ached, but nothing appeared damaged. She was more pissed at herself than anything. Alexis glanced up to see Scott staring down at her, a worried frown deepening his heavily wrinkled face. "I'm okay. Just give me a minute." Feeling more or less normal, if disgusting were normal, she attempted to stand. As she pushed against the ground to get up, something sharp dug into the palm of her hand. Her fingers automatically closed over it, only it squished out the top of her fist and back into the mud. Ouch! A thin stream of red oozed from her mud-covered fingers. Whatever that thing was, it had scratched her palm. She stared at the surrounding puddle. Where had it gone? There, beside her right foot. Alexis leaned over for a closer look. It couldn't be. Several voices called down to her. She ignored them and tugged the muddy piece free. Blowing away several strands of hair blocking her view, she swished the item around in the rainwater and cleaned off most of the dirt. Small, white, and with a distinctive shape, it resembled a bone. More like several tiny bones barely connected by stiff mud. And, oh God, it looked like a finger. Ice settled into her spine. She held a finger. A tiny finger. A child's finger still wearing a toy ring.